Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV. My name's Bernie Weemers and we're here tonight for the Australian Online Supercar Championships, and we're at Mosport for the Mosport 150. So welcome Daniel, it's another great night of V8 Supercar action.
Yeah, welcome Bernie and viewers. Yeah, we're in for a really good night tonight. So we've got plenty of cars out on track, so I think yeah, we're in for a good show.
Yeah, we certainly are, and we've got, having a look at the moment, how many drivers, 44 cars out there at the moment qualifying, and I'm just trying to see who's on provisional pole, and that's Bo Cubis in the number 26.
Yeah, Bo's put out a really good time. He's just on a tenth of a second up on Ian Ford at the moment, another tenth on Michael Cracknell, so good showing by those boys, and looks like we're going to have a really tight field tonight as well.
Yeah, it certainly does, and let's have a look at what the qualifying is looking like. So, looking at Bo, he did a 1:17.412, Ian a 1:17.482, and then Mick Cracknell in the top three with a 1:17.549.
Yeah, even our the top 10, I mean, we've got next to nothing out of this field. It's half a second, so on a track that's as short and as demanding as this one is, the guys are going to be very, very close, and there's going to be a lot of panel rubbing, I reckon.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of it. I saw some earlier tonight while they were practicing, a bit of panel rubbing going on in there, especially as they come down to the hairpin. So let's have a look at the track for tonight anyway, folks, not that. Yeah. Let's have a look at the track. So total turns tonight 10, track lengths 4 kilometres in total length, wind speed 14 kilometres an hour, track temp is 31 degrees Celsius, so not too hot. We've seen hotter, but we'll see how they go. But I guess the key corners here, Daniel, you'd be coming onto the back straight there out of the hairpin. They'd have to want to get that right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can get a really nice entry through turn 4, that pretty much sets you up for turn 5A and 5B where you exit Moss Corner there. So most of the overtakes we're going to see are either coming in through that section, or if you can tuck up behind and get a nice draft, you'll be looking to make a move at the back of the Mario Andretti straight there.
Yeah, and the corner they have, I always say if they get that wrong, there's no coming back from, and that's turn 2, isn't it, as they come in to that sweeper. If they get the wheels off line there and into the grass, and the wall's waiting for them.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's a blind corner too. As you crest into it, the road's falling away from you, so you've got to be pretty committed with the line that you want to take. But as you said, a slight touch of on the grass, or maybe trying to go too wide through there, and it's going to spell disaster for everyone behind it.
Yeah, and we're on with Mick Cracknell here, and he's just demonstrating what we were talking about, that blind crest coming in, floats through. It looks really wide, doesn't it? But it's not that wide when you're in a car trying to get the best time.
No, not at all, and it's really deceptive when you come out of that corner. You're waiting so long before you can get back on the throttle there. So for a lot of these guys, patience with throttle application is going to be a big key. Because the last thing you want to do is just get a little too much, and when you hit that dip just on the apex, it's like you're going to unsettle the car and spin it up.
Yeah, and as far as the iRacing update goes, has there been much of a change as far as the V8 Supercar, or is it pretty much the way it was?
No, I think iRacing have pretty much left the V8 status quo as it was. So most of these guys shouldn't experience any major differences as far as previous setups are concerned. I mean, obviously the big news we saw for that was the GTE cars that they released, but not a factor obviously tonight.
No, definitely not. It would have been a factor last weekend, that's for sure. And it looks like, from what I've heard, the Le Mans 24 Hour had server issues once again.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate. I think it was 2 hours in that obviously they had some server issues, which iRacing have sort of taken upon themselves. They're postponing the Watkins Glen 6 hour just as a result of this, to try and correct that server issue, to sort of avoid any further issues like that again.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll get that sorted out, and because it's been a number of years they've seemed to get bitten on these big events. But let's have a look at our track guide tonight, Daniel, or the strategy. for tonight, and I'll get you to take the viewers through fuel stops and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so we've kind of come common knowledge now with some of our sprint rounds. We've generally got a two pit stop strategy cycle that these guys are going to run. So we've got a pit window. It's reasonably large for this track at the moment. It's between laps 14 and 25, so you've got a pretty fair sizable window to come in, throw a new fresh set of tyres on it and get back out. The one thing these guys are going to have to be careful of, obviously, is that random safety car. So all of these events, especially for the 150s, we have one safety car. The endurance, we have two. So we've seen that in the past where it's bitten a few guys. They've just played it a little wrong and it fires them way down the field. So if they can make a smart choice and get in before that, it should be really, really good.
Yeah, as you said, we have seen a few get bitten by that, so it'll be interesting to see if they all jump in as early as they can as soon as that pit window opens. The other thing they've got to keep in mind is the incident limit. I think it's 25 tonight. Fuel, as you went over, 75% is their total fuel they're carrying on the car. And I guess the other one is, as you said, was the random safety cars. Now for tonight, I think we only get one.
Yeah, there's only the one safety car for this series tonight, so yeah, obviously not knowing where that's going to come out could cause you a little bit of drama if you get it slightly wrong.
Yeah, so we'll definitely keep an eye on that as well. What about, let's have a look at the driver standings, and we'll go through those, because that's pretty much where the action's going to be tonight, isn't it, on the non-endurance driver standings?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, we've got a really tight battle, first and second, between Ian Ford and Riley Blythe. So ERT are dominating those two positions, and Luke Harvey's trailing a little way back, 460 points behind. So those guys have got a nice clean sweep, 1, 2, 3 at the moment, with the last sprint round tonight. Fourth position, we see Thomas Hinds. He's only 580 points behind, and fifth place is Pete Sattler from Stealth Sim Sports, 600 points. So if Pete and Thomas can have a good run tonight, and obviously we hope no harm befalls the ERT cars, those guys might be able to move up and maybe jump a spot.
Yeah, well, at the moment we've got Pete Sattler qualified 6th provisionally. Thomas is qualified 8th provisionally, so both those guys are in the top 10. But if we jump across and have a look at the team championship, well, it looks pretty much like ERT1 are going to take it, because we've only got tonight and next week for this season before we wrap up. And 4,020 points to Evolution Racing Team 1. SimSport 1 is in second at the moment, 2,277. Third is Evolution Racing Team 2, 2,210. And then still SimSport 2 in fourth on 2,128. So looking at from second to fourth, Daniel, there's still a lot to be to play for the final steps of the podium.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're going to see that probably a lot more for the next round, which obviously wraps up the season at Bathurst. So the guys are going to want to put their best foot forward. It's 4-hour endurance around there. Tonight, obviously, will play a part, but probably not quite as much as what Bathurst will.
Oh yeah, Bathurst is, it always plays a huge part in these championships, and having a 650 around the next Friday night, it's definitely going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons, and it's going to be a night of survival, I'm predicting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously the teams are going to want to put a good foot forward and make the most to try and take every final position that they can, but ERT and Stealth Sim Sports there, 1, 2, 3 and 4 between those two teams. Synergy Racing are not lurking that far behind. What are they, 400, just under 400 points from fourth position, so they've got a chance to jump up as well.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see how that plays out in the coming nights. I guess tonight they're going to be looking for as strong as finish as they can, so that they're in the best position for next week at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every point and position they can take is going to be critical. Even 2 races to go. We've got fourth through 6th in the overall teams classification are separated by 30 points. So there's nothing there. If you make a little bit of a blue or a mistake, you could drop 2 or 3 spots pretty quickly from that position.
Yeah, exactly right. And if you have a really messy night there, you're going to you could potentially find yourself sitting on the sidelines watching as well. But having a look at the qualifying at the moment, we've got 1, 2 and 3 are ERT, and then we've got Laser Racing and Plumbing, Jason Bentz provisionally in 4th. 5th we've got Brian Borg, and then 6 is Pete Sattler for Stealth Sim Sports.
Yeah, it's actually quite a good showing from the Laser Racing boys. You know, Jason and Brian both up there in the top 5, so good showing for those guys tonight. And even looking just at those first 5 spots, you know, it's just under 0.4 of a second separating those 4 cars, so very tightly packed.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Bo Cubis at the moment, he's still in the pits. He's decided he's pretty confident. He did a 1:17.325 is his fastest time, and he's been sitting in the pits there for probably the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the limit. If you're able to dip into that sort of range around this track, you know, you're looking very comfortable. But I think just in the short time we've been speaking now, he's actually just gained a 10th to take it to that 1:17.3. So without a draft, he's going to be very hard pressed to get beaten by Ian there.
Yeah, and we're seeing Ian now. He's just coming into the final turn here. Nick Cracknell's actually tucked in behind him for this lap to get the toe, so it'll be interesting to see what Mick does as they come across now. Ian Ford did a 1:17.386. Michael Cracknell a 1:17.634 as they both go and celebrate in the wall.
Yeah, that actually really worked well for Ian there. You know, grabbed another 1/10 of a second just to push up that little bit closer to Bo after that lap, so it was a really good run from him.
Yeah, and I'd say the whole purpose of Mick getting that toe is his rear end gunner tonight by the looks of it, and they're trying to maximise that gap. 0.3 of a second back to Jason Bentz in 4th, and then of course, as we said, Brian Borg, his fastest time at 1:17.727.
Yeah, that's not that far from his teammate Jason there. So those two are running very close. He's got a 100th of a second, I think it is, between himself and Pete. So those two cars there very close together, and if they stay the way they are, it's going to come down to either really good hard racing on the track tonight, or potentially won or lost in the pits when we have that one stop.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely come down to strategy here. And also, I've just noticed now Pete Sattler slowed right down. He's tucked in behind his teammate here, and we'll see that's Nick Hausler there. So we'll see if Pete's going to get a tow around next flying lap to see if he can get into the top 5 here.
Yeah, definitely. I think Pete was just sort of washing the tyres and keeping the temperatures down, just so he's ready to go for this run. But obviously having Nick in front of him, that's going to just help clear that little bit of air and give him that bit more top speed.
Yeah, exactly right. And he's coming through now to start his final flying lap. I would say here we've got a 1:17 coming into turn 1. He's got that nicely entering the apex, floating out beautifully. So far so good. He's got his teammate ahead of him, and he just wants to get a really nice clean lap here.
Yeah, which might have spoken a little too soon, because there are a few cars just up in front that might impede them here. So Nick's going to be clearing the road ahead, and looks like he's just moved out of the way to let Pete go through there.
Yeah, Nick might have felt it wasn't worth pushing on, but Pete is still pushing on now, but he's got the dives on the inside. The HTR car gets out of his way, so that shouldn't slow him up too much.
No, it looks like he got through pretty cleanly. Obviously it'll probably take a 10th or so off on this lap, which isn't ideal, but if he's looked like he got really good traction for the drive, so he might be alright coming up to the end of this lap.
Yeah, he just put 2 wheels off onto the grass there, and hopefully he didn't get an off-track 6th gear into the final S-Benz, I guess, 155 kilometres an hour down into the final corner here, 122. We'll see what time he does. So yeah, he didn't improve. He actually did a 1:18.717. So looks like he'll be starting out of 6th tonight.
Yeah, that traffic seemed to sort of impact him a little more than I was expecting there. But it's great watching these cars coming off the back of that straight as they sweep through to the right there, and just gradually feeding the power on as they come to the end of that lap, though.
Yeah, it's fantastic, that's for sure. And we can see now Thomas Hinds, he's coming up into the final segments of this circuit. I don't have a track map here, that's what I need. We'll see if he can improve. He's still sitting in 8th. 1:17.858 was his fastest, and we'll see if he can improve now. He comes across 1:17.994, so the guys just aren't improving at this late stage of the qualifying.
No, and that could be a few things. Either I'm not sure whether Thomas had only just recently come out of pits before he started that lap, so it might be an issue with tyre pressures, or like we saw with Pete, just a bit of traffic getting in the way.
Yeah, well, I reckon we should start going through the grid here because we've got a huge field, and as always, folks, we'll let you know where your favourite driver will be starting tonight. So starting out of pole tonight will be Bo Cubis with a 1:17.325 Ian Ford. He's going to start out of second, and 6 thousandths for second behind, followed by Mick Cracknell in third. So 1, 2, 3 to ERT. That rhymes. Jason Bentz, he'll start out of fourth with his teammate Brian Borg out of fifth. Out of sixth is Pete Sattler, followed by Riley Blythe in seventh. Thomas Hinds will start out of eighth tonight. Luke Harvey out of ninth, and rounding out your top 10 is Riley Preston.
Starting 11th, we have Daniel Williams. 12th is Sean Thompson. 13, Paul Telnanjinik. Oh, sorry, mate, I'll butcher that again. 14th, we have Paul Preston. 15th is Darryl Hockey. 16th is his teammate Nathan Tegarthen. 17th, we have Brady Mayers. 18th is Wayne Taylor. 19th is Jaden Borg. And 20th is Brenton O'Brien.
Starting out at 21st tonight will be Philip Piggott, followed by Dave Oliver in 22nd. Paul Tarjavara will start out at 23rd with Henry King sitting in 24th. Jared Lawson, he will be starting out at 25th tonight. Out at 26th we've got Jeff Rayleigh, followed by Shane Rayner in 27th. Stephen Varga will start out of 28th, followed by Jonathan Ben in 29th. And rounding out your field of 30 is Sean Chappell.
Starting 31st, we have Trey Rennick. 31st is Nick Hauser. 33rd, Brendan Bateman. 34th is Michael Collett. 35th, Mark Fee. 37th is Matt Ledeppen, and I think this is actually his first race of the season as well. 37th, we have Tony Gaffer. 38th is Matt Torkins. 39th is Christopher Casey. 40th is Jai Pop. And just for the last couple of cars, we've also got Gabriel Abden, who qualified in 44th. The cars that we've got on the field that didn't set a time, we've got Forzen El Nabi, Michael Hammond, Martin Carroll, Craig, and Darryl Wright.
Yeah, so we'll see if they'll actually take to the grid. But we're going to be racing here any moment, folks. I'm just getting our overlays all set up and ready to call this one. You can hear me clicking, trying to get everything furiously set up before the start of this race. It's going to be interesting, I guess. Where do you think the trouble could come today, apart from turn one, of course?
Pretty much you're probably looking to possibly be in a bit of trouble anywhere from, I think, the first 3 or 4 rows back. I mean, we've got guys that are actually starting all the way off on the last corner. Biggest issue as the lights go green is obviously going to be turn 5 and 5B.
Yeah, so keep an eye on that. Nice clean start here though. The ERT boys 1, 2 and 3 looking further down the field as they come through, stringing out. It's Touchwood looking like a clean start so far.
Yeah, it's a really good start. Some of the guys 2 and 3 wide through turn 3. It's not what you want to be, but it looks like a lot of the boys are actually settling down into single files now.
Yeah, so it looks like they've also got through the trouble spot of turn 2. We've got one of the Pagnian cars around, but I think he's picked it up. But so far we've got Bo Cubis leading, Ian Ford, Mick Cracknell second, Brian Borg got a good start. He's sitting in 4th, Jason Bentz dropped down to 6th, and Riley Blythe has jumped up to 5th position.
It's not a bad start. I'm just watching a few of the guys getting through Mosport there. It's like a bit of hip and shoulder. as everyone's trying to make a bit of room on this final opening lap. So
you can see now Jason Bence is getting a good run on Riley here. Riley got it a bit crossed up under acceleration, but he has managed to cover off, or has he? Just trying to see where he is. I think he's dropped down to 6th, possibly 7th.
Yeah, it looks like Jason's just, Brian's just tucking in there nicely now and looking for a bit of a run. One of the MPMS cars is actually just following up behind him as they head through turn 1 there now.
Yeah, so Brian Borg's battling it out here with Mick Cracknell, so just trying to get a gauge of everything here. Then Riley Blythe, Jason Bence, Pete Sattler's dropped down to 7th, and Thomas Hinds has dropped down to 9th. But keep an eye out for Luke Harvey as he's starting to work his way through the field.
Yeah, one of the other guys I've noticed who's dropped back a little bit too is Jason Bence. He's lost a couple of spots off the opening lap as well.
Yeah, he's down in 6th, isn't he? So he's trying to recover. I'm not sure what happened there, because he did have a good start, but he must have got mobbed there in the first couple of corners.
Yeah, I didn't actually see what happened, but like I say, it could have been a little bit wide through maybe turn 2 there. Just tucking in behind it. Looks like just in front of him we've got Brian Borg pretty hard under attack from Riley Blythe just behind him there.
Yeah, we can see Riley now in the MPMS Century putting the pressure on to Brian, but I think Brian would be an old hand as far as mopping up that sort of pressure.
Yeah, Brian, you can lean on him a fair bit, and he'll give you a nice clean race. So Riley's going to have to look for his move and judge it pretty safely here. Yeah,
so I guess the trick is, as we were saying, the key is to get a good run onto that back straight there and try to get a toe and get on the inside if you can for the S-bend.
Yeah, definitely. I think you may, later on in the race, depending on where tyres go, possibly someone may try and go around the outside off the end of the back straight there and look for the inside leading up to the end of the lap, but you'd have to be a pretty brave man to attempt to move like that, I'd imagine. Yeah,
it's always a battle of who's got the strongest will, isn't it, when you get to that point? But we'll see how they go. Looking at the rest of the field, it looks like the only driver that's had to make a pit stop is Matt Clower in car number 4, and he's still sitting in the pits. So we'll try and work out, guys, what's happened to him. But he's taking service as we speak, Daniel.
Yeah, there's a couple of other guys, looks like they've fallen back a little further as well. Bretton O'Brien must have been tangled up in something. He's actually dropped 12 spots off the opening lap. Nick Hauser, he's dropped another 3, and Phil Piggott's dropped 12. So a couple of guys that were quite far up the order, have come into a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened out there because we've had no off track, so I'd say it's just pushing and shoving. As we see Brian Borg go around in the 17 into the tyres. I thought he was going to keep it off the tyres, but heavy damage to the Laser Plumbing and Racing entry.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy with that. And I think looking at where he is, he's got a fair way to go to be able to get that car back safely and get it repaired.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at the super slow-mo. I think he pretty much did it all by himself. He's having a lot of pressure here. I think it's Riley behind him. And we'll just go to super slow-mo and just see what's happened. Yeah, he's just got the 2 wheels off just as he exited there, which is throwing the car sideways, Daniel. And of course, once he's actually done well to keep it off the inside wall, but once you're onto that grass, there's really no coming back, is there?
No, not at all. You're pretty much a passenger at this point the minute you get a wheel on the dirt there.
So you can see him there. I thought he was going to be safe, and no, he hit the wall. So as you said, it's going to be a long walk back, or drive back to the pits to get that car repaired. He's going to have to get it repaired, I think, because he's carrying a lot of damage.
Yeah, and depending on how that's hit the wall, he may also have a bit of steering damage, which that's going to take at least a lap or 2 to get comfortable with if he's able to persist with it.
Yeah, we're just jumping in now into our gyro cam here just to see if we can get a gauge on the steering on that car. And we'll see once he gets onto the straight. Of course, he's wrestling the thing, trying to get it slowed down and turned in. He does. He seems to be handling it all right, but we've got another car off on the wall just ahead of him, though.
Yeah, I'm just giving a bit of an eye back here. It looks like we've got one of the cars looks to be a lap down, just moving out of the way. Matt Torkins, he's just let Riley Blythe go through at the end of the back straight there, but that's now ERT, I believe 1, 2, 3 and 4 at this point in time.
Yeah, it certainly is. Bo Cubis leading, Ian Ford, Mick Cracknell third, Riley Blythe makes it the top 4, and you can see why ERT's been so dominant in this team championship, can't you? Because they're once again up in the top 4.
Yeah, doing very well. Another good battle that's starting to form up at the moment too is between Pete Sattler in P6 and Jason Bentz up in P5. Both of these guys are just on the moment getting their way past Matt Torkins there, but very close together and looking for every bit of room.
Yeah, so, excuse me. I am listening to you. So I'm just trying to settle in. It's been a few weeks, hasn't it, since we've done one of these broadcasts, Daniel, and it takes a bit of time to get into it as Pete Sattler loops it and gathers it back up.
Yeah, Pete just caught the outside of 5A there, just as he was getting ready to turn in for 5B, and just caught that dirt. Just looped it. He did well to keep it off the walls and other cars, but he's lost a couple of spots here now.
Yeah, it's probably the worst place you can get a bit of a slide, isn't it? Because you're going to lose all that momentum. He's sitting down there in 8th now. Sean Thompson's having a good run. He's up to 9th at the moment. I think he started down in, 12th or 14th or something like that tonight.
Yeah, he's having a really good run. He's up 3 spots at the moment. Just keeping an eye here on Pete and Thomas Sisson. They're really finding it hard to get past Matt Torkins at the moment in that lap down car, but gonna have to be careful for Pete. He's got Sean Thompson starting to get real racy up behind him.
Yeah, he certainly does, and Pete's carrying quite a bit of rear end damage to that car, just in the left rear quarter. I don't think that's going to affect him too much though.
No, it looks pretty alright. That's probably just a little bit of damage from spinning and as those cars just went by. But meat and the sandwich around this place is not somewhere you want to be.
No, that's an understatement, especially in this heavy braking. He's coming into where he got it crossed up. He's got a better exit. No, he's got it sliding, and Sean's into the wall this time.
Yeah, it was a bit weird. They both seemed to spin up just on getting a bit of traction out. Sean's obviously got the worst of that damage, unfortunately, but that was a really weird one for both of those guys.
Yeah, we're actually riding with Sean. We're going to have a look at this again. And it was bizarre, wasn't it? Both of them spun up at the same time. Pete managed to catch it, but Sean did not. Yeah,
I'm really not sure because they both hooked up pretty nicely out of the corner. So may have just run the gearing a little too hard or what. I'm not too sure, but that's a bit of a weird one for that.
Yeah, and it's almost like synchronised dancing the way they both spun up, but Sean Thompson's bringing that car into the pits now, and as he comes in he's all the way down in 28th position, so that's a real shame. He was looking pretty strong.
Yeah, he was having a very good run, so he's not going to be happy with that, but and looking where we are, we're still a little bit short of that opening pit window. I think we're 6 laps short at the moment, so definitely going to have to make another stop or get real creative with his strategy and stretch it as far as he can.
Yeah, but I guess, with 75% fuel, how creative can you get? I guess you can fill it to the top, use a quick repair, throw 4 tyres on it and go as long as you can, hoping the safety car plays into your favour.
Yeah, well, you've got a couple of options. Like you said, the safety car is probably the big factor that everyone will use, but if you can hold up behind someone, get a bit of a draft, you should be pretty good.
And I guess the key for him is not to go down a lap. You can see where is he now. He's 35th back out on track. He only did a 10.8 stop, so not a long one, and he's on the lead lap still. I'm just having a look. We've had a few other cars come in as well. We've had Phil Piggott come in, as you mentioned. Matt Torkins, I think we mentioned him. Riley Preston, Craig Jones, has also had to come in, as well as we said, Matt Clowett. So a few guys have had to use that fast repair in the early part of this race.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, not only does it use your fast repair, that puts you a lap or two down, depending on how long it took you to get the car back to pit. So that's pretty disheartening feel for you. I think I've just seen too, Matt Clowett's not long disconnected as well, so his night's done, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Matt. He was our first driver in trouble. I had a look in the telemetry. There didn't seem to be any off track, so a bit of a mystery there. Hopefully Matt might come up and let us know what happened to him so we can let the viewers know. But at the moment, folks, keep an eye on Luke Harvey. He normally teams up with Ian Ford in the Enduros, and he's just as talented as Ian is. He's already up to 6th position now, and if he can get past Jason Bentz, we're going to have ERT in 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5th position.
It's quite a dominating performance from these cars if they're able to do that. I mean, 4 in the top 5 is outstanding. If you can lock out the top 5, that's a massive feather in the cap.
Yeah, well, it looks like he might get there because Jason Bentz, he's having a lot of trouble. He's coming out of turn 1 there. It looked like he got a couple of wheels off and got it all crossed up. He gathered it up, but it has cost him precious seconds. So it looks like to me, Daniel, tonight, I don't know if it's just Mosport, but the cars look very, very twitchy coming off the ripple strips here. Yeah,
which is really weird because it's not an overly hot track. I mean, predominantly we see with a hotter track a lot more issue, but what are we, 27 track temperature at the moment. These guys should be loving it. So might be something in the setup or maybe a tyre pressure that's a little bit wrong that's causing these problems, but the guys obviously have a bit of adjustment now. They can tweak a bar here and there and maybe try and soften it up to help them get around a bit better.
Yeah, I've just noticed quite a few of the cars, have looked a bit nervous on those ripple strips. And as you said, normally it's abnormal to see that because normally these cars don't mind the ripple strips around here too much. Grass, yeah, well, no car likes that, but we'll just keep an eye on it and see if any other cars have that issue tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be something we're going to need to keep an eye on, like you're saying, but hopefully now that we're 10 laps into this event, the guys will probably be able to start settling down and pick the battles a little bit bit cleaner. We might not see as many issues.
Yeah, once they get settled in, it could also be, because they've all, had the week 13. Most drivers have used that as a rest period, so maybe they're just coming back and having to get back into the swing of things again. You can see Daniel Williams here. He's battling with Paul Tellenjack in. I've got it wrong again, I know that, but 10th and 11th position with Nathan Tregarthen trying to close that gap.
Yeah, that'll be a really good little battle. I'm actually just focusing on one a little further back in 20th to 24th. There's a 4-car train here at the moment getting around, and these guys are putting on a great little show.
It's like peak hour back here, isn't it, as they're sort of wrestling 4 positions here. We can see Gabriel Abaddon on the screen at the moment. I don't think I've heard that name, so I think he's new to the series, doing a great job in 23.
Yeah, he's definitely new. I would not want to be Stephen Vargo right now. He's too wide with about 6 cars all around him. These guys are battling for absolute sheep stations at the moment, as looks like Martin Carroll just got a really nice run off the final turn there.
Yeah, and check out Jonathan Benn's car. He's got no rear wing whatsoever on that car. We've seen worse, but I guess not much worse.
No, well, we've actually seen a few guys that have made the most of that and done quite well, and looks like we've just got a car off. I'm just trying to work out that Shane Rayner off in the weeds on turn 2 there.
Yeah, and he's missing the front bonnet on that car as well, as we see then the West End entry also running wide.
Yeah, so I'm not sure whether some of these guys are just maybe overdriving the car a little bit, or like we said, maybe miss that setup just a touch, but it's very hard racing, which is great to see. And Matt Torkins has just been looped around. Who was that got him? Looks like Matt Rd19. I'm sorry, mate, I'll butcher that again, but yeah, just sort of caught the rear end there and turned the car, unfortunately.
So we're just having a look also at, God, now I've lost my train of thought, Shane Rayner there. Basically when he went to turn into turn 2, the car just didn't want to turn in basically, and he had to take the long way through the grass. He did well not to lose it though.
Yeah, it's something very easy to do, and we might want to quickly duck our attention to Pete Sattler and Jaden Borg. Both those guys actually are in pits at the moment, having a stop.
Yeah, so we're up to lap 12 now. Looking at where our pit window was, where did we say it opens? Lap 14, so they're actually 2 laps early.
Yeah, so I think obviously these guys are probably looking towards the safety car to save that little bit of fuel, but if they're able to do it and get in early, get out of this traffic a little bit, get a bit of clear air and make the most of it, there's a spot or two there if they can get that right.
Yeah, looking at their pit times here, Pete Sattler did a 13.9 second stop. Brian Borg also has brought that car in for a stop, 12.5, and as you said, Jaden also brought in, so that's the 2 Stealth Sim boys, 16.2 seconds for that one.
We've just got 3 of the ERT cars, Ian Ford, Riley Blythe and Luke Harvey are all in the lane at the moment as well.
Okay. Yeah, so it looks like Stealth Simsport ERT are both running a similar strategy here. As we see now, Ian coming out. I can't get an actual time on him because my telemetry's playing up.
Ian, he was in the lane for a 16-second stop, so 34 seconds to get all the way through there. So not too bad considering some of the other guys at the moment.
Yeah, so he rejoins back in 17th position. Riley Blythe, he came back out 21st position. Pete Sattler, 24th, and right behind him is Luke Harvey, who's also stopped. Luke did a 17.2 second stop, so a little bit of work there, and all of a sudden Pete's in a fight. And then Nathan Tregarthen, he's also stopped, as we said, in 26th and 27th Brian. So they're the top pitters at the moment, and no doubt they'll be back at the pointy end once the pits unfold here. Yeah,
definitely, and I think obviously the last sprint round we had was Phillip Island, and I think if you remember we saw Ian Ford actually kind of got a bit overdone with the safety car there coming out just before his stop, so for him to get in now, get it all cleared and out of the way, he should be fine now to the finish.
Yeah, and Daniel Williams is also in the pits now. Lap 14 pit windows are pretty much open now, and for the cage-centric entry. And there's another car behind him as well. Who's that? Jeff Rayleigh is also taking service. So I think you're right here, Daniel. A lot of guys remember being caught out by a safety car and they're jumping in as early as they can.
Yeah, well, what's the age-old thing? Once bitten, twice shy?
Yeah, we can also see the 015. That's Nick Hausler. Stealth Simsport, he's also in the pits now as well. Although that was strange, he came in, he didn't stop, and then he went out again. I think he missed his pit bait.
Yeah, quite possibly. I'll obviously have to catch up with the team later and find out what happened there, but it's a bit of a weird move, that one.
Yeah, either that or the pit crew are eating ice cream as he went through.
Well, look, an ice cream right now would be pretty nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it definitely would be pretty nice. But also I want to touch base on, where is he? I've forgotten his name. We mentioned him, we gave a call out to him at the start of the race. I think it was his debut. Matt Lepperton, I think it was, wasn't it, in 21?
Yes. Yep.
So he's sitting in 21st at the moment, and the car's looking a little bit beaten up, but not too bad.
No, it's actually a really good run for Matty. I think he's only just come on board with Stealth Simsport in the last week or two now, so he's come up to speed quite nicely with the car, and to be running where he is with as little practice as he's had so far, it's a great result for him.
Yeah, and he's sitting right behind his teammate Pete Sattler here. As you can see, Pete and Luke Harvey going at it. Luke's just made a move, but Pete's not going to let him get away from him, and these guys are battling it out for 17th and 18th on the track, but it's probably more likely 5th and 6th once the pit stops go through.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've come in a little bit soon. I think Luke made his stop just a lap after what Pete did, so slightly fresher tyres probably helped him get through. And if your second car getting up behind some of that traffic, gives you a really good understanding of where they're going, and you might be able to find that little bit of a move and an opening you can capitalise on.
Yeah, and I tell you what, those ERT cars look pretty slick, don't they, in the straight line, because Pete was in the draft and he wasn't pulling him in. He was pretty much sitting there, but we've seen that before, of course, with the V8s. They don't seem to draft as much as some of the other classes.
No, not at all. And actually, one of the guys that just got his stop in and out was Bo Kubis. He actually had one of the quickest stops, 13.8 seconds, so he'll be sorted now to go through to the end of this race.
Yeah, and he's come back out in 6th position, so if you compare him to where his teammate Luke Harvey is, he's 10 positions up at the moment. So Bo, he's really been having the advantage, I guess, being out front there, setting the pace, and he's looking really strong.
Yeah, definitely. We traditionally see too, most of the lead runners will come in towards the end of the stint, just to sort of give them the ability to clear out the traffic in front. If you come in a little bit earlier, like we saw with Luke and Pete, obviously you're right up in it when you come back on the track.
Yeah, and then of course once you're right in it, your lap times are normally in it for a bit as well, aren't they? Well, you try to get tyre temps up as well as trying to sort out any cars around you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting just to keep a bit of an eye too on Mick Cracknell and Jason Benz, just to sort of see when these two guys come in, because they're just under 8 seconds apart from each other on the track at the moment as well.
Yeah, if we look at the gaps here, folks, we've got Mick Cracknell 7.7 seconds up from Jason Benz. Jason, in return, is around about 7 seconds up from Mick Tellenjack, and then we've got Wayne Taylor. What's that? Another 7 seconds down behind him.
Yeah, but between Wayne Taylor and Paul Preston, that's a pretty tight little battle at the moment, and Bo's only a couple of seconds behind, so he'll be making inroads to those two guys pretty quickly.
Yeah, so we've got PRA, that's Paul Preston, and then Wayne Taylor. Who's he driving with? WPC Concreting.
Yeah, I'm not too sure which particular team that is. A good looking car though.
Certainly is, and Wayne's bringing that straight in now to get his pit stop out of the way. We can also see further up, who's that right behind him? That's Gabriel Abaddon coming in as well. And there's another car in the pits further up, I just didn't get a number.
Yeah, it looks like Christopher Casey, car 25, but he looks to have been in there for a little while now.
Okay. Yeah, I saw one just coming in the pits ahead of Wayne Taylor there. So, but I guess the big question is now is when is Mick coming in to take the stop? 8.2 seconds up. He's going to come out, the top three. He's got a 23-second gap ahead of Bo Kubis, though, so I think Bo will come back into the lead.
Yeah, he should make that quite comfortably at the moment. Just looking, I think, Bo's back up in 4th now, so he's not too far. I think these guys will probably be in within the next 2 or 3 laps to get their stops out of the way.
Yeah, and right on cue, we've got Mick Cracknell in. Jason Benz follows him in. See if Michael Tellenjack he stays out. So we've got the top 2 in. We'll see where they filter back in as Bo Kubis now comes into the final turn, and we can see Mick Cracknell, where's he? He's still taking service. So he's coming out now. 15.9 seconds was his pit stop.
Yeah, so it was just a touch. What was he? 2 seconds slower than what Bo was for his stop time, but the overall transit time down the lane was very similar.
Yeah, and he comes out now in 4th position, just ahead of Riley Blythe. So after pit stop so far, folks, we have Bo Cubis will take the lead of the race once Michael comes in. Ian Ford will be in 2nd, followed by Michael Cracknell in 3rd. 4th will be Riley Blythe, and then Jason Bentz should slot in probably around about 5th position.
Yeah, I think probably one of the biggest losers out of this, once all the pit stop cycles back through, will be Martin Carroll. I mean, hasn't stopped at the moment. He's gained 38 spots, but given we've had just about the entirety of the field go through, I expect he's probably going to drop down a few now.
Yeah, and Marty's coming back. It's good to see him back out there and having another run today and tonight. And yeah, he's got a bit of work to do though. I'll tell you what though, Michael Talenjak here, he's really rolling the dice. He's staying out. So he's decided he's going to do the reverse fuel strategy, and I guess that window will stay open to lap 25, won't it? And he's looking possibly as doing a short fill, as long as the safety car doesn't come in and bite him.
Yeah, exactly. The hard thing that he's probably going to be up against is is his total stop time. I mean, most of these guys have been in 13, 14 seconds or so, so he's going to lose the majority of the time that he's gained, which is 6.3 seconds at the moment. So once the stops are all the way through, we're probably going to see him, where would he be, maybe about 8th or 9th when he comes back out onto the track.
Yeah, so long as he gets in before that safety car, because of course, it might be in my head, 38 laps to go. Each lap they go through without a safety car, I think, is going to increase the odds that one's going to come in. He's heard us, he's diving in now.
Yeah, that's a really smart move for him to get that cleared now. Just got to obviously wait and see now when that safety car comes out. And the other thing is going to be, where does he cycle back in?
Yeah, well, that's right. We'll keep an eye on that. His pit time, his actual fill time should be shorter. Henry King, Brenton O'Brien in 16th, 17th, they also haven't pitted, and they're within probably 4 car lengths of each other, battling it out. But let's.
Martin Carroll's also just come into for his stop as well, and where are we? Yeah, so he's just completed his stop now as well. Okay,
so we're seeing now Michael Talenjak coming back out. It looks like he's going to feed back in at around about 10th. He may even drop down to 11th because he's come out in a lot of traffic, and Daniel Williams is on the outside of him. Gets a bit squirrely and holds on to it, and Michael looks like he may retain that position. It's a 10th position for Michael.
Yeah, that was very interesting. We saw Riley Blythe going very slow. He actually caught a wheel in the dirt through turn 1 just before Michael came out of pits there and really backed everyone up. But he did a good job to sort of get the car off the wall and get going again without too much damage. But exiting turn 1 is not the place you want to have these cars sideways.
No, that's for sure. So he did a good job there, but it did bank him up, didn't it? And that allowed Michael to sort of feed into the middle of those guys. And yeah, good job by all. They stayed off each other. Daniel Williams, though, he's having another look on Michael, and we'll see what Daniel can do. Or he gets the wheel up on the curb again, and once again we see the V8 Supercar look very unsettled.
Yeah, I'm really not sure what seems to be going on with these curbs at the moment, because obviously we see these cars in real life at places like Adelaide and Gold Coast getting all up over the curbs and loving it, but for some reason today they're really unsettled, and I don't quite understand what's going on as far as setups on these at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, because as you said, they normally don't mind the curbs. Normally if any car can ride them, these cars are sort of built to ride them, but it's not the case here tonight at Mosport. So we'll see how. It might be interesting to see if anyone out there can let us know what's the feeling out there of these cars on this circuit, because they look pretty twitchy to me.
Yeah, definitely. It's very weird, but looks like we've just had the random safety cars actually just being thrown now as well.
Yeah, so the cars that have not stopped, got Henry King sitting in 16th. He did not pit. Nick Hausler. We saw Nick come in, didn't we? He didn't stop though. So
No.
he's going to have to bring that car in. Tony Gaffer is the other one. So a couple of the Pagnian boys have been called out by this.
Yeah, I know we said with Nick, that was really weird just to see him go straight through the lane and not actually stop. So really not sure what went on there.
Yeah, ice cream, that's all I can say. So a bit of an update here, folks, of your top 10 as we're under safety car. Bo Cubis is leading this race. He's pretty much led most of it from start to finish, apart from the pit stops. Ian Ford, his teammate, is sitting in the second position. And then we've got, yet again, ERT sitting in third with Mick Cracknell. And fourth, Jason Bentz. Well, he is flying the ointment as far as ERT is concerned. He's sitting in fourth for Laser Plumbing and Racing. Then we've got fifth is Luke Harvey for ERT. Thomas Hinds, he's moved up to sixth from eighth. And then we've got Pete Sattler, he's sitting in seventh. He started sixth tonight, so he's dropped a position. But both him and Thomas are looking at getting a strong finish here tonight as far as the top second, third and fourth go in the championship points. Eighth, we've got Brady Mayers. Ninth, ERT Riley Blythe. He's dropped back a bit here, Daniel. And he's, as you said, he got a bit squirrely. And then Michael Tallenjack, he rounds out our top 10.
Yeah, so like we said, I mean, Riley's obviously had that bit of a spin, bit of an unforced error there that sent him a little further down the field, but with the safety car, obviously he hasn't lost out as bad as what potentially that could have been. But yeah, I think the big ones to keep an eye on to see if they can spoil that ERT party is definitely going to be Jason Bentz. Like, we've seen him pretty quick all throughout the season in the races that he's done so far. Thomas Hisson is doing really great, and Pete Sattler, obviously wanting to pick up as many points as he can going into the finals with the team's championship as well.
Yeah, definitely. And if we just trying to bring up our table that we had earlier, I'll just bring this up, folks, so you can have a look at where the points are and why we're focusing on Thomas and Pete. If we look at the points, Thomas and Pete are pretty much battling it out, aren't they? 4 points in the non-endurance driver standings, and I guess they're trying to close in on Luke Harvey in third.
Yeah, well, there's only 20 points separating Pete and Thomas there, so those guys obviously now really close together on track. Neither one of them is going to want to do any damage to anyone else, so that'll be a really good fight once this goes green again. The other one, Luke Harvey, I mean, he's got 140 points on both of these guys, so if he can keep it nice and clean, he's probably likely to push that a little bit further ahead.
Yeah, and also Riley Blythe down there in ninth. He's with the way things are going with all the other contenders, he's going to want to get that car up as high as he can to stop that compression, I guess, in the points. Because of course, as we said, next week we've got Mount Panorama for the 650, and if they go in tight on points, it's going to be interesting to see how it all shapes up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't think of a track that's either more exciting or more terrifying at the same time to be closing out a championship, especially when it's that tight in points.
Yeah, well, that's when it separates the men from the boys, isn't it? And we can see now the safety car, they just started doing the waiver rounds by the looks of it, so getting some of those cars back on the lead lap. Safety car lights are out though, so I'm guessing we're going back racing.
Yeah, I think that wave round was just to clear up those couple of cars that were in between the top 6 there, so we should be pretty well nose to tail on this restart.
Yeah, and lap 20, we'll be starting lap 25 here, so it's pretty much a sprint now from here to the end. 38 laps around here to complete the Mosport 150. We've got Bo Cubis first, Ian Ford, his teammate, follows, Michael Cracknell also follows, Jason Bentz, well, he's trying to close in on Crackers here to try to spoil the 1, 2, 3. Then we've got Luke Harvey, Thomas Hinz, Pete Sattler, Brady Mayers and Riley Blythe.
Yeah, a really good restart from those top 10 cars there. Everyone given plenty of room, getting the tyres back up to temperature after they cool off on these safety car laps. But just watching Pete, he's getting a little bit racier now up behind Thomas. So if he can link getting off turn 5B, Moss Corner here, he should be really good shape coming down the back straight.
As we see now as he exits and didn't spin it up. And we'll see if he can close in. But saying that, Thomas Hinz did get a good run out of there also. I think he got a slightly better run out of there.
Yeah, it's definitely making it hard for Pete to try and stick the nose in. But give it a lap or two. I think we might see Pete maybe try a move as these laps wind down.
Yeah, well, I guess then the tyres start to become a factor, don't they? Once we get to the tail end of this race, because of course some of these guys stopped as early as they could, lap 12, lap 14, so their tyres will be definitely feeling second hand by the end of this race.
Yeah, well definitely, and probably the guys that are in the best position as far as tyre life goes will be Mick Cracknell currently running third and Jason Benson fourth. Those guys have only got 7 laps on their tyres, whereas the guys around them are nearly double that, 13 laps on tyres. Bo is probably the next best placed at 10 laps on his tyres.
Yeah, and then of course we've got Michael Tallinger down here in 10th. He's one of the last of the stoppers, isn't he? So he will have the freshest tyres out of the lot of them. But whether he can actually use those fresher tyres to get that car as far up the pointy end as he can is another thing, because he's got Riley Brythe and Brady Myers right in front of him, and both of those guys are going at it.
Well, yeah, and both Riley and Brady, they're both quick guys, so Michael's definitely going to have his work cut out for him to try and get up there and then to get past as well.
Yeah, so of course he's wanting to get back to the ERT party. He was on the tail end earlier, wasn't he, before that bit of a spin, but at one point it looked like ERT was going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5.
Yeah, definitely, and just looking at the lap times as the guys cross the line, that lap round actually Mick Cracknell was the quickest of the field, so he's proven obviously the less use on those tyres is starting to help him out a bit.
Yeah, so he's tucked right up behind Ian Ford here, and Ian, just looking at the way Ian's car's accelerating, he did have a bit of spin up there. But of course, you know, that's not probably going to worry him too much, but the car did step out a little bit. Yeah,
well, in the top 5 at the moment, both Ian Ford and Luke Harvey are the guys with the oldest tyres at the moment. So you're probably expecting a bit more play in the rear. They may soften those rear bars off to help themselves with a little more traction, but he'll just have to sort of nurse that now to the end of the race.
Yeah, and of course, as soon as Michael Cracknell sees Ian's car starting to step sideways under acceleration, it's pretty much like an invitation to have a go, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, you get that little bit of a cheeky grin on the face because you know you're in for a chance, but at the same time, I mean, these guys have got cars 1, 2, 3 at the moment. They don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardise that because, you know, what we brought up with the teams championships, that's good valuable points for them.
Yeah, and again, Ian, we've seen this. He got his wheels up there on the ripple strip, just put it just over the other side, and that car immediately became unsettled, and he's dropped back down to third.
Yeah, that was a smart move by him. He just sort of stepped sideways, got off the gas and rolled it through, but even Cracker's just stepping a little sideways, exiting turn 2 there.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting, isn't it? Because these guys are on the edge, but when it comes to something like that, they make it look so easy, as the way they just avoid a car, you know, a minor lose. Less experienced drivers might jump on the brakes and loop it themselves.
Well, yeah, and I mean, we see nowadays most of the teams will have all their drivers in a chat. They all know what's going on. You know, not necessarily team orders, but they'll be able to say, you know, I'm getting out of the way, get up there, and that's all good. But when you're running with some of the other guys you're obviously not team members with, you've got to sort of be a bit more cautious of where you're going to stick that car.
Yeah, because there's a lot less give and take, isn't there, when you're not around your teams. But tell you what, Riley and Brady here are having a great battle, and Riley's putting the pressure on. He just hasn't found an opening yet.
No, it's really good little ding dong forming up. But even just looking back here behind Michael, we've got another 4-5 cars potentially lining up to have a sniff and get past as well.
Yeah, they're sort of banking up there a bit, aren't they? And of course, once they start compressing, the danger factor goes up. At the moment, Brady's just mopping up this pressure from Riley Blythe.
Yeah, he's putting the car in really good spots to make it very hard to get through, but going to have to be very cautious getting through here, that he can get it turned and tucked in nicely and then get that drive off.
Yeah, so we can see him now coming back on the straight, and quite a train forming. And we'll see what these guys can do.
Yeah, I certainly would not want to be at the front of this. I'd rather be in Riley's position, hunting him down.
Yeah, me too. But then again, Riley's got all these cars like Michael Tellenjack right behind him. As we see again, Brady just getting unsettled under brakes there. He picks it back up again, but he lost a good half car length. Riley's now starting the Morse code.
Yeah, Riley will be pretty smart about it though. He'll just give him a little bit of a nudge here and there, sort of let him know where he's at. But really solid drive between both of those, sort of to not spin anyone and pressure him. But Michael's surely got to be rubbing his hands together with a bit of anticipation of a spot here as well.
Yeah, exactly right. And we saw in return there, Michael's also got to keep an eye on Daniel, because Daniel's looking really racy. He's looking on the inside, making a move now, and he's going to push Michael wide. Can Michael hang on? There's a bump and shove, and Daniel takes that position.
Yeah, that's a good move. I mean, got up there nice and early. Michael's just under a little bit of fire at the moment here from Nathan Tregarthen. At the moment, he held that off pretty nice, but Nathan back up on the inside, so that slows him down a little bit, but good clean driving between both of those guys right there.
Yeah, and I was watching Nathan and watching how he can position that car. He went on the outside and managed to be able to turn that car back on the inside of Michael, and it shows Nathan's car is handling beautifully.
Yeah, well, the guys are really quick, and Nathan will just keep an eye too. He's got his teammate Jay Borg just up behind him there. So those two are just fighting it out a little more. But yeah, Nathan did a really good job, not locking a wheel, not getting into anyone, and able to go through nicely.
Yeah, and Riley Blythe's also just made a move on Brady there, so he's moved up to 8th, Brady 9th. We've got Daniel Williams now on the back of Brady, and looking at trying to get another position here for All Stars Motorsports. And we'll see if he does the same move that he just did on Michael here. And not quite close enough. He was thinking about it though, Daniel.
He thought about it all right. He was very close, but smart mind pulled out of it. But yeah, you can just see that little bit of a move between Michael and Nathan. How much of a gap now that's put between those cars, and that's really split that little pack open.
It certainly has. And further down, Jaden and Nathan. Who's that coming through? Paul Preston, I think it was. Made an amazing move there on Nathan Tregarthen and took that position. I think it was Paul, or was it Jaden? No, it wasn't. It was Paul Preston.
Yeah, so I mean, once you get that cork out of the bottle, everyone sort of seems to railroad you pretty quickly and get by. But 5 cars, 2 by 2, that's some great racing.
Yeah, and then we've got Wayne Taylor also involved in this. It's just on. One of the cars just ahead of this pack, though, is a lap down, I think, and he's going to want to get out of their way, because these guys are racing for sheep stations back here, and it's definitely bringing the action to the tail end of this race.
Oh, it certainly is. I mean, we always see that with the safety car sort of in the later stages, but these guys are putting on a great show, a lot of respect between all involved, so hopefully it continues on and we see a couple of more good passes.
Yeah, now that Riley's got past Brady, he's made that gap and he's leaving him behind. His eyes are forward now on trying to close that gap to Pete Sattler, and the gap is around about 2.2 seconds, I think it is. And of course we've got Thomas Hinds in front of Pete Pete Sattler and then Riley Blythe, and they're all in it for the points in the top three here. So Riley's going to want to contain this damage if he can.
Yeah, definitely. I think Pete, just looking at his lap times just recently, looks like that car may have just stalled out a little bit. It's not really gaining any more on Thomas there, but there's only a half second between those guys, so if there's any little bit of a moment, I mean, they're going to be right up at each other again.
Yeah, we'll get the actual lap times as they go through this time. Pete Sattler 1:18.932, Riley a 1:19.058, so he's had a bit of a rougher run this time through, but he did take 3/10 out of him last time, so overall he's slowly gaining.
Yeah, and just looking at that too, Pete was also a touch quicker than Thomas in front of him. Obviously, a little bit of help with the draft, but that's going to be a really solid fight to finish this race off for 6th and 7th there.
It certainly is, and I think also Brady's tyres may be looking a little bit second-hand here. I'm just watching the way he's turning that car around. Oh, he chopped the nose off Daniel there. It looks like he's got to work to get that car turned in more than Daniel and Michael behind him.
I'm just trying to find my way up onto that battle, but yeah, well, he's got a little bit of a gap as they get to the end of this straight now, so maybe get a little bit more of breathing room for another lap or two, but yeah, like you're saying, he's definitely going to have to start working for it to keep the car under him for the remainder.
Yeah, it certainly is, and the reason he got that gap, Daniel, was Daniel Williams put the nose up on the inside, coming into the hairpins down there, and Brady chopped it off, and Daniel hit the inside ripple strip, came across, and Michael Talenjak had to jump out of it.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how quickly, who was it we saw? I think Nathan putting the same move on Michael a few laps earlier in that spot, and if you get it a little bit wrong, obviously that gap just expands rapidly.
Yeah, so Michael's now dispatched Daniel Williams, and he's up to 10th. He's now trying to close back in on Brady, and the gaps are starting to stretch out. Looking forward, folks, Bo Cubis is leading with 4 laps to go. He's got 2.4 seconds lead over his teammate Michael Kruppner. Michael's got past Ian Ford and he's sitting in 3rd at the moment, 2.9 seconds. We saw that move when Ian got caught up on that ripple strip. Jason Bent's still sitting in 4th position. 5th is Luke Harvey. 6th, Thomas Hins. Then we've got Pete Sattler in 7th. 8th, Riley Blythe. Brady Myers 9th, running out the top 10. Michael Talenjak, and Michael's now caught Brady.
Yeah, so that's going to be another little good battle. Michael's having a look just on the final corner there. You know, one of the real quiet guys we haven't really said much about at all tonight, who's done a great job, has been Jason Bentz. You know, I think he started 4th, still running 4th, and not really that far off what the ERT cars are doing at the moment. So he's done a really bang-up job to go where he is.
He's done a fantastic job, and it's like that, isn't it, when you're out there running on your own and you're doing a great job, no dramas. Generally, you don't get much airtime, but Jason's been there all night pretty much. He's the only other car apart from ERT, well, he's the only other team taking it to ERT tonight.
Well, yeah, in the top 5 definitely, and I mean, obviously we've got a couple of guys a little further back with Thomas and Pete trying to hold off Riley there as well. So, but no, take nothing away from Jason. He's done a great job tonight.
He certainly has, and I'll tell you what, I'm just having a look here. Looks like Michael's now got past Brady, so this is, we were talking about. No, he hasn't. He's got Daniel back on his back again. So Daniel just doesn't want to lay over. He's caught back up and he's taken the blowtorch to the back of Michael again.
Yeah, no, these guys are really hammering along for that last little battle, and another one here between Jay Borg and we've got Martin Carroll as well. Those guys fighting over 12th and 13th as well, so that's a really good little battle. But yeah, just looking at Daniel and Michael there, they're both back up on the back of Brady and really fighting hard now.
Yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it? Because I thought it was all over last lap when Daniel dropped right back, but he's made that time back up. And if anything, I think Brady may be holding these two up a little bit.
Yeah, well, if we look, just looking at the last stop for these guys, so Brady stopped 21 laps ago. Michael was 6 laps sooner than that, so Michael's still got the freshest tyres out of those two, but kind of hard when you're sandwiched in as tight as he is there now.
Yeah, we saw how much drive he had off that corner there. He had so much. He actually ran into the back of Brady. Now he's on the outside, Brady on the inside. This is going to be gutsy if he pulls this off, and he does around the outside.
That's great.
Oh, it certainly is, isn't it? And Brady's got it sideways again. Daniel's now. So that was an awesome move, and we're on to the last lap here, Daniel.
Yeah, and we called that we might see one of those in the race, so that's one off the checkbox. But no, that's a great job by Michael to get around the outside there.
Yeah, and he set that up from the bottom hairpin there. He got a good drive off. He gave Brady a little bit of a nudge. Brady then spun the tyres up, which made him vulnerable. But awesome move there on the outside. Yeah,
the heart definitely would have been in the mouth, but no, that's a great job. But just looking back here, we've got Mark, we've got Riley Blythe, who's just catching a little bit of traffic in Mark Fee there, who's just stepping aside. But other than that, I think we're pretty well status quo at the moment. I think Thomas has got enough of a gap there to hold Pete off at the moment, but the top 3 from ERT not going to be stopped tonight.
Definitely not. We can see now our race leader coming across, and that is Bo Cubis. Pretty much led this from start to finish tonight here at Mosport, and he brings a number 26 for ERT across to take the checkered flag. Well done. Then Michael Cracknell comes home in second position. Ian Ford happy in third. Jason Bentz, fantastic drive there to come home fourth position. Luke Harvey just behind him in fifth. Thomas Hinds holds out. Pete Sattler for sixth. Riley Blythe eighth. Ninth, Michael Talenjic, and running out top 10 is Brady Myers. He held out Daniel Williams in the end.
Yes, that was, we didn't see the last little battle there, but Daniel, Michael and Brady both had a real good battle. That last 5 laps, that was really exciting to watch.
Yeah, it certainly was. After that restart, the race pretty much came alive, didn't it? It was getting a little bit spread out, but that certainly, that safety car definitely made it a lot more enjoyable for us anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm just having a look at the cars. We had quite a lot of cars in trouble here tonight. If we look at Jeff Rayleigh from number 7, looks like he retired. Sean Thompson also, after that hit in the wall, looks like he parked. So did Phil Piggott, Jared Lawson. I think we lost Riley Preston, Craig Jones. I don't think we saw Craig out there. Of course, Matt Clowett was our first retiree. So it has taken its toll on a few teams out there tonight. Yeah,
definitely seen a few guys go out, unfortunately. But all in all, given we had 42 cars starting this race, that's pretty good as far as the lack of retirements that we had in this one. So that's a lot of respect obviously shown by the guys that are driving here tonight. They all want to put on a good show for everyone that's obviously watching or may watch it a bit later on if they can't tune in now, but to only have a handful of cars go off, that's great.
A few drivers there that didn't make the start. It looks like Forza Nel Marby did not make the start tonight, neither did Michael Hammond or Marty Carroll, from my telemetry anyway.
Yeah, I think also Darryl Wright was another one who didn't start this one either.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Forzen and Michael not make it though, but maybe they had other commitments tonight. But anyway, let's go through the final standings here before potentially driver interviews, just so everyone can see where their favourite driver finished this evening. So tonight's win goes to Bo Cubis, followed by Michael Cracknell in second. 2.9 seconds was the gap at the line. Ian Ford third, followed by Jason Bentz in fourth. Luke Harvey comes home in fifth. Sixth was Thomas Hinds. Seventh, Peter Sattler. Eighth, Riley Blythe. Ninth, Michael Talenjak. 10th, Brady Myers.
In 11th we had Daniel Williams, 12th was Martin Carroll, 13th was Jaden Borg, 14th was Paul Preston, 15th Nathan Tregarthen, 16th was Wayne Taylor, 17th was Dale Hockey, 18th was Paul Tejvara, 19th we had Brian Borg, and in 20th we had Henry King.
Yeah, and I stand corrected there. Marty was out there racing, so my telemetry was wrong. But it was great result there for 12th for Martin Carroll. Home in 21st is Sean Chappell, followed by Jonathan Ben. Then we've got Trey Ranke in 23rd. Nick Hausler comes home in 24th. Dave Oliver home in 25th, followed by Shane Rayner. Then Matt Lapidovan in 27th. Braden Bateman holds on to 28th, followed by Brenton O'Brien in 29th. And Jay Potts, he rounds out your top 30.
Yeah, and Jay was the first of our cars currently a lap down at the end of this one. 31st we had Mark Fee. Tony Gaffer was 32nd, Stephen Varga was 33rd, Matt Torkins was 34th, Christopher Kessie was 35th. That was the end of our one lap down. 2 laps down we had Gabriel Arbden, and the guys obviously we spoke about earlier who didn't quite get to the end. We had Jeff Rayleigh, Sean Thompson, Phil Peake, Jared Lawson, Riley Preston, Matt Clowett and Craig Jones.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how they ended tonight's race. We can see someone's out there. Of course, Henry King's out there practicing his drifting. Who else wouldn't be out there practicing their drifting? Only one on the circuit doing it, but he's enjoying himself anyway. We've got interviews, so I guess we should bring up, what do you reckon, Ian Ford and Michael Cracknell at the same time?
Yep, why not?
And we'll leave the Zuva Drift show on while we do these interviews. Hi Ian and Michael, welcome to RRTV's Combox, and congratulations guys on your strong finish there tonight. 2nd and 3rd I think it was, and it looks good. But Ian, we noticed your car when you got up on the curb there, it looked a little bit nervous, and we've seen that a lot tonight with the V8 supercars. Has anything changed, or is it just the cars here don't like riding the curbs?
No, just a few of the curves around here, they're quite aggressive drop off on the other side of them, and the way that we have to set up the car to make them fast, it's much a double whammy. It's like once you overstep the mark, it goes a bit crazy on you. A few times there, I was having to straight line off the actual curb to stop it from spinning, but it's just how it is around here.
Fair enough. We saw a lot of cars there riding the curbs and doing what yours did, and you managed to gather it up. But Michael, a great job there right behind Ian. I think you finished in 2nd, didn't you? You got him when he got a bit nervous there. How was your driving from your point of view?
Yeah, thanks, Bernie. It was pretty good, actually. I went a slightly different strategy to some of the other guys and tried to run as long as I could, hoping that the safety car wouldn't come out, and it didn't. So once the safety car did come out, I knew that I had probably 6 laps on my tyres as opposed to Ian's, so it sort of gave me a bit of an opportunity to attack, and then if he'd made a slight mistake, that I was able to make an opportunity of it.
Yeah, which we saw once he got on the curb there. That looked like the opportunity, and you made that move look quite easy. I was saying earlier, most drivers, when they see cars get a bit taily like that, would have most likely lifted, but you just knew exactly where to place the car to make that pass.
Yeah, well, the way Ian come off the curb, it sort of spat him off to the right, and the next corner being a left-hander, and I had a fair bit more speed on him coming out of that corner because he had to lift a fair bit. It gave me a perfect opportunity for an inside move, and if I hadn't have done it then, I probably wouldn't have been able to get past him. So just made the most of it.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, they're the crap questions. I'm going to hand you over to Daniel Leake now. He'll have the serious ones for you, all right?
Cheers.
Oh, look, I don't know about the serious questions, but I guess probably the only major one for me. we saw you guys come in, obviously 6 laps apart with your stops. Did you find you had to sort of nurse the cars a little bit more once you came out with the traffic around you?
To be perfectly honest, pitting so early, I sort of took a guess that I'd fall into a bit of traffic, and I just had to push on as hard as I could to make sure that the gap to Bo didn't open up too much, or they didn't get a big advantage for running out in clear air. And the tyres were pretty good until pretty much that slide that I had, and then every lap after that, since I didn't want to give up on second place, I kept on pushing them, and they found the cliff pretty fast at the end there.
Yeah, excellent. And I noticed, I think we mentioned with Phillip Island, obviously had a slightly bad run with the safety car, so must have flipped the guy a 50. Got covered with that one.
No, just honestly, I came in and I was just like, my first plan for strategy was pit as soon as you could, and I took it an extra lap longer, hoping that I could clear a bit more traffic, and sort of came out in the middle of a gap, but just did the opposite of what I did at Phillip Island, where I was going out long and trying to run short on the tyres at the end. That way I could push extremely aggressively. I decided to do the opposite, ran aggressively at the start there, and got past Bo, got a bit of contact, dropped back behind him because that's a better thing to do, and after that I basically just had to push as hard as I could and just pitted in and made sure that I cover off the safety car.
Excellent. Now obviously we've got one more race left of the season. We go to Bathurst for the 650 Enduro. Have you guys worked out your pairings for that race, and are we likely to see any special liveries for the final race of the season?
I think everyone's going to go retro liveries from our team. I don't know whether or not it'll be retro liveries from our team in another name, but I'm pretty sure there's definitely going to be a few real life liveries that you'll be able to reminisce about. But other than teaming, so I think Riley and Anthony will be teamed together, and don't know about anyone else other than me and Luke. It'll just be a case of put out the hat tonight and find out who's interested.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't think we've really confirmed any driver lineups just yet. It's going to be sort of wait till the middle of the week and see who's going to be available. I'm sort of hoping that maybe Ryan O'Sullivan might be able to pair up with me.
No, we're definitely looking forward to seeing the final race of the season. Obviously, the team's championship is getting very interesting there for the final. But congratulations, second and third for both yourselves, and final award. I guess you took the fastest lap of the race tonight.
That's pretty good. It shows that our car was pretty balanced. It was pretty nice in qualifying. Just made a rookie mistake on a couple of the laps, but other than that, it was just there's still room for improvement there after I burned out the fronts pretty hard.
Awesome. Well, look, before we let you go, do you have your sponsors obviously to give a plug to before we let you go?
MPMS Racing Simulators. Obviously, if you're down in West End, go in there and have a bit of a whirl. MS Limited Edition, Joel Real Timing. If you don't have any live timing apps, definitely download that there. It'll definitely help you out in the long run. GTI Springs and Logitech G.
I think you've missed one, but I may not be sure. You said MS Limited Edition, didn't you?
Yep, surely did. And thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast tonight. I'll certainly go back and have a look at that because, I heard there was some quite intense racing throughout the field.
Yeah, no, definitely go back and look at that and enjoy the coverage, hopefully, Ian. And it was great racing. It was great to see you guys all battling it out, and I'm sure the viewers enjoyed it. But, of course, guys, we'll catch up with you next week when we go for the Bathurst 650. There you go.
No worries. See you there.
Cool. Thank you.
So I'm just having a look who we got here. We'll bring up Thomas Hinds next. Thomas came home 6th position and held out Pete Sattler for that position. God, I'm having a rough night tonight.
But yeah.
Sorry, Thomas.
Jump
in. Hi, mate. Welcome to the Combox. Congratulations, 6th position tonight. A good result, and you finished just in front of Pete Sattler there. Looked like you guys were having a pretty good battle for most of the race.
Yeah, we were just chatting there. Yeah, we're just great respect for Pete. We both raced really hard but really fair, so it was a good battle to have throughout that race. As well with Luke Harvey, all three of us were sort of trading times for most of that race. I think I was behind Harvey pretty much the entire race, quite literally, just right behind him outside of the pit stop phase. So it was a lot of fun. Pete was had a couple of errors that sort of gave me the chance to get past him. So I was sort of a bit lucky in that regard, but apparently he was just saying that's enough for me to beat him in the non-endurance by 30 points. So there you go, buddy. Very close. I didn't realise how close it was. I thought I knew it was close, but I didn't think one position over him would be enough. But there you go. It was a great race. Good fun. Pace was good. Had a good setup. Big credit to the guys in the team. They got a really nice setup together, and just plugged away. Qualified top 10, which is good. Sort of qualified a bit better than I maybe usually would, because quality's usually my Achilles heel. Then just got a clean start. Plugged away. A few people had issues. Obviously, Borgie and Blythe had a couple of spins and stuff like that. I was able to capitalise and just ran my own race behind Harvey, really, most of it. I think I was within a second half most of the race. Just kept going along. Did the pit just for the half. I wanted to obviously make sure I didn't get blown up by the safety car, basically, like I have, I think, had happened to me once or twice, where I've waited too long. So I thought I'll play it safe, pit just for halfway. Came in and came back out just behind Pete and Luke, and then Pete had a little moment with Luke, and I was able to get past, and pretty much held position 6 till the end. But no, really good fun battles, and just intensity. Like, it was really intense, just having to keep that constant pace, the lap in, lap out, especially that last stint after the safety car. It was a great fun little battle there with Pete, just trying to keep the lap times going so I could stay ahead of him. So really happy with that.
Yeah, it was a good drive, that's for sure. And getting back to the points, when you came in, you were sitting in 4th, 20 points ahead of Pete Sattler in 5th. So the way you finished tonight, you will have increased that points haul. I'm not sure if it's done and dusted yet. Maybe it is, I don't know. I'll have to have a look at it. But the other one was pit strategy. We noticed just about the whole field felt a little bit nervous, and jumped in as early as they possibly could.
Yeah. So I think that was just because there's been a few times where the safety car's been called either like pretty much on the half or just after it, and then people who have tried to eke it out have got screwed over big time. And as I said, I think I've had it once or twice as well, because usually I go half. I try to keep the tyre wear even rather than splitting it, one side, too heavily one-sided. I try to keep it all even, and but even then I have had happen once or twice where it still came out right as I was about to pit and then wrecked my race. So I think that's I'm not too surprised people were being especially cautious, because there's always a chance it might pop up a bit earlier and wreck some races for people. But it seemed like from what I saw, it came out just after the last few had pitted, so it was pretty much perfect timing. So it was a nice straight race at the end, and as I said, it was a good straight race at the end of it. A few one or two little moments with like cars that were a little bit interesting throughout the race. It's probably the only real dicey bit that really happened. Just one little bit of a dodgy moment with the lap car through the last few corners that was it was interesting. But aside from that, it was just good battling and just about keeping the lap times going. So I was happy to get through in the end without any major issues.
Yeah, it was definitely very entertaining. But before I let you go, though, I'm just going to hand you over to Daniel and see if he's got any final questions for you. Of course, then next week we've got Bathurst, so that'll be fun as well.
Indeed.
I think the only real question I've got, mate, obviously we saw you and Pete having a really good battle towards the end of the race. Looking at the laps, I think you came in 4 laps after Pete. Did you find having the slightly better tyres after that restart gave you a little bit more advantage?
Possibly, yeah. I think initially it gave me maybe a little bit of an advantage. I mean, although I think, as I noticed, I think Cracker's mentioned in the post-race chat, he was just saying about how his new tyres were good for about 5-6 laps, and they sort of evened out. I think I was finding the same. That was the clear advantage for a good 4 or 5 laps, but then they just kind of even out with more worn tyres. So yeah, a little bit. I think there was a little bit of advantage, because I did sort of keep a nice gap early. In the middle of that last bit, though, I sort of just fell back a little. I noticed I was just halves was just getting away a little bit, and Pete was just catching up a little bit, and I was looking at it all, getting a bit worried, just going, oh God, am I going to start causing a bit of a train? But thankfully, the consistency sort of saved me in the end, and I think I got some pace back in those last few laps to keep the gap and make sure I wasn't under too much of a siege for the last few laps, and it was a nice way to end it there. And yeah, I was hoping for top 5. I didn't want to get Harvey. I wanted to get on the top 5 under my belt, but can't complain for 6 at all.
No, definitely. Look, and obviously now we move to Bathurst. We asked the ERT boys before, are you likely to have a bit of a different livery going in for the final race this season?
I can't see there being one, but I mean, I could always air the thought to Sean, maybe. Wink, wink, if he's watching. Wink, wink. No, yeah, I don't have any plans to have a special one, but hey, if we want to, it'd be cool, I guess. But I mean, I'm happy to have the Edge one I've got. I think it's a very pretty livery, and a big thanks as well to Sean actually for having the personalised one with my nickname there on the back wing. So thanks to Sean for making that, because I was sort of keen to have that there, because I do sort of like going by that name where I can. So yeah, no, not at this point, but yeah, we'll see, I guess.
Well, thank you very much for coming in. Obviously, great result tonight, P6. Did you want to give a shout out to the sponsors just before we let you go?
Yep, indeed. So yeah, of course, big thanks to sponsors GTI, Kearney, Race Centre, Plus Fitness as well, and of course Edge Auto there for that livery. As I've said many times, fantastic livery. I'm big fan of it, and having the personalised touch to it's even better. So yeah, love that livery, and big thanks to all those guys, and again, big thanks to the team just for being fantastic, and especially Brady, I think it was Brady and Matt who worked on the setup. Big thanks to those guys, because as I said, setup was fantastic this round, really stable, really quick, and yeah, big thanks to those guys for making such a competitive one for this round.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for popping in, Thomas, and of course we'll catch up with you again next week at Mount Panorama.
Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you then.
So our final interview tonight, folks, is with Pete Sattler. Pete came home in 7th position. Hi Pete, welcome to RRTV's Combox. Congratulations, 7th position tonight. It looked like you and Thomas were having a great battle. Well, in fact, I think you were in the thick of things just about all night with a number of drivers around you.
You're not wrong, mate. It was a good battle with Thomas there. I was obviously trying to mow him down and get over the top of him in that championship, but wasn't to be. He had good pace, so if only I didn't make so many little mistakes.
Yeah, well, coming into the championship, I think you're only 20 points behind him, and the way you guys finished tonight, he's increased that by 10 points to 30. So we've got you down as finishing the non-endurance drivers championship in 5th position.
I'll take the top 5, to be honest. I'll take it.
No, it was a good effort. And excuse me. One thing we did notice tonight, ERT and Stealth Sim Racing seems to be doing pretty much identical strategies. Was that mainly because of the safety car and not knowing when that was going to come out?
Not really. In that first part of the race, I felt like I had pretty good pace, and I kind of wanted to make the most of it. So I've got Joel real timing, and as soon as that pit window opened, I was straight in.
Yeah, I think just about all the field was the same. But as far as tyre wear though goes towards the end of the race, how did they hold up on Mosport? Because a lot of drivers were in lap 14, which means you've got the second, third, 2/3 of the race to go on one set of tyres.
They were pretty good. They started to go off a little bit just before that safety car, but they had a chance to cool off, and they came back and were in the 18s for most of that last stint then, Thomas and I. So yeah, they held in quite good.
Fantastic. And the standard of driving around where you guys were looked pretty high from what we could tell. There was a lot of hard racing. There was a few elbows out, but nothing too bad. Was that how you saw it?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed racing against all those guys. They're all good. Did have a little bit of an issue with one of the cars that we were trying to lap, which, yeah, I won't say too much more about it, but yeah, it was quite disappointing the way he was.
Yeah, I think we saw there was a massive train coming through at one point, and I think we did see a car a lap down leading that train, which sort of compressed you guys up a little bit until you could deal with that. But I'm going to hand you over to Daniel now and see if he's got any more questions for you.
Too easy.
Yeah, g'day Pete. Mate, congratulations, 7th position tonight. Well done. I've got a couple of questions. I don't know whether you can enlighten us to some of the other team members. We saw Nick doing a bit of a drive-through, which was a bit of a weird one. I don't know that we actually recorded a stop time for him. And the other one we saw was Matt Leptoven. Obviously his first race tonight in the series. He had a really good run, up 9 positions from his starting spot.
So first of all, Nick missed his pit bay, so he did a drive-through for no reason. So he had to come into the pits twice, the poor guy. And Matt, just for future reference, Matt Lepoitoven, is that how you say it? And he did really well. He wasn't really happy with his car tonight, but mate, he's only new, so he'll be up there in no time.
Yeah, no, it was very good. I mean, obviously, you guys had some great battles. Did you mentioned obviously you had the issues with the one car in the traffic. Most of the other stuff you found reasonably good to get around?
Yeah, no worries at all. Most of the guys are pretty good. There wasn't too many lap cars tonight. I think that second safety car helped that. I think 29 cars finished on the lead lap, so that's always good.
Yeah, really good result to have that many finish towards the end of this race. But now obviously everyone turns their attention to Bathurst. We've asked everyone else, are you likely for a retro livery going into that run? And how are you looking for driver lineup?
Driver lineup's good. I'll be back with Craig again next week, and maybe have to keep your eyes peeled on Facebook for a retro livery.
Fantastic. Well, look, before we let you go, back to catch up with the boys, have a cold beer on that. Did you want to give a shout out to any of the sponsors at all?
Yeah, thanks to Pagnian, Leading Edge Computers, and just thanks to all the boys for being there and helping out and making the team a good place to be.
Well, like I said, yeah, congratulations on the 7th, mate. Thanks very much for putting on a good show for everyone involved, and we'll see you at Bathurst.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Bernie.
Fantastic. Well, we'll turn our attention now, Daniel, to the final driver standings, because of course tonight ends the sprint series, and then we'll go in and have a quick look at the endurance team standings for next week, because of course that'll round out then. So looking at the way they finished tonight and the final driver standings, Daniel, looks like Ian Ford has taken the win here for ERT1. And I'm just looking at 90 points gap back to Riley Blythe in second.
Yeah, so he's extended, looks like 60 points from where he was between himself and Riley there. So obviously we saw Riley had that little bit of an issue getting through turn 1, which didn't really help him. But no, Ian's doing really good. He's looking where he needs to be to extend that position.
Yeah, so of course what we're seeing here is a driver's standing. So Ian Ford will win the sprint driver championship, I guess you could call it. Riley Blythe second for ERT, third Luke Harvey. Thomas Hinds came home fourth. Pete Sattler held on to fifth. Jaden Board sixth. Mick Cracknell jumped 2 positions up to seventh. Brian Borg eighth, ninth. Matt Stratford, he dropped 2, and Henry King came in the top 10 by the looks of it for the sprint series. So ERT pretty much dominated it, and still SimSport was the next big team as far as points haul goes.
Yeah, both ERT and Stealth SimSport put on a really good show. Brian held pretty steady for Laser Racing there in 8th position as well. So yeah, obviously we've got 2 teams that had a couple of cars in there to finish it off. ERT fantastically well, 4 cars in the top 10. That's a great result, regardless of what team it is.
Yeah, it certainly is. And if we turn our attention now to the team championship, because of course the points from what I understand, the sprint championship and the enduro championship go into this. So if we look at this side of things, Evolution Racing Team 1 has a massive lead, don't they, of probably about 2,200 points, would that be right? Or 1,743 points, sorry. So they're in first, so they're going to pretty much take that out. And then we've got settled in second, still SimSport 1. They look pretty safe. ERT Team 2 in third. I think the top three there are pretty much sorted, and I don't think Bathurst is really going to affect it. What do you think?
No, I can't see there being a huge change. Probably, we're probably really going to see car number 2, and obviously the two Stealth Sim Sports being reasonably close together. Synergy Sim Racing are probably still potentially vying for a 4th spot, depending on how the other guys settle out after this race as well. So we're likely to see a few changes, but I think definitely Evolution Racing Team 1, they look to have definitely wrapped this title up pretty well.
Yeah, well, 1,700 points in front. I think they could pretty much not even turn up and they'll still win it, but of course they'll be there. And I'm just trying to see the next one we're looking at. Yeah, so I think that's about it as far as points go, folks. But we're going to Bathurst Mount Panorama for the 650 next week, folks. And it will be live on RRTV Friday night, starting, I think we go on air around about 7:15. But check our Facebook page for exact timing on that. And of course, Daniel, retro livery, it always adds colour, doesn't it?
Well, absolutely. I mean, who doesn't love a retro livery? The cars as they are look really good, but a retro livery thrown into the mix around the mountain looks fantastic.
Yeah, it certainly does, and I can't think of a better place to have it than Mount Panorama. So we've definitely got that coming in next Friday night, folks. But before then, join us this Sunday night for the Australasian Super Skips, and that'll be back on RRTV. I think it's a fairly late one, but check our Facebook page. And then, of course, we're coming back again for the Monday Night Light Season 3 2017. It's all going to kick off once again this Monday night. And tell you what, Daniel, last time it was a cracker. We had a lot of European drivers join us. Some of the other big European drivers actually caught wind on it the last round and said they were going to come out and contest it. So we could have some big names in that series starting this Monday night.
Oh, it's something to look forward to. I mean, the racing's always tight between these guys, so if we can get some more of the Euros, which are very quick, that'll just enhance the driving spectacle that we're going to see.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But of course, folks, in real world time, if you've got Eurosport, of course, 11 p.m. I think tomorrow night, Daniel, the Le Mans 24-hour kicks off. And I know I'm going to be probably camped in the lounge room here for 24 hours, apart from when I got a broadcast, of course.
Oh, mate, I'm already set up doing the same thing, so very much looking forward to it. I think we saw today in qualifying 2, Kobayashi set the quickest lap ever recorded around there in a 3 minutes 14 second lap. So amazing speed those LMP cars can put around that track. So yeah, get ready for some great racing.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, but I guess it's like Bathurst but better. I guess that's the word you'd use, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's one of those for any motor racing fan, it probably has to be on the bucket list to check off between the Le Mans 24 hour, you think of a Spa 6 hour or 12 hour, Blancpain would have to be on there, Isle of Man TT and Indy 500, so plenty of good races to check off the bucket list, but yeah, that's up there quite high.
Oh, definitely. And have you got any plans to actually go over there and see it in the flesh?
I would love to one day. Don't know when that would be, but certainly would love to.
Yeah, I reckon it's just one of those races you'd have to experience and just do it once. I reckon I'd only do it once, but it'd be great to be part of that spectacle. But anyway, folks, that'll be on Eurosport tomorrow night, and I think it's 11 o'clock they kick off, Daniel.
Yeah, 10:40, 11 o'clock, somewhere around there. But no, I'm very much looking forward to that and see how much time I can spend in front of the TV and watch it.
Yeah, me too. But anyway, Daniel, thanks, mate, for joining us tonight. It's always a pleasure having you call the races here and bring your expertise. And, of course, RRTV is going to come back for a second season of AOSC, even though, folks, we wrap up next week for the first part. We'll be back, I think, 3 weeks later. They'll be kicking it all off again.
Yeah, so I don't think we've seen the program come out yet for what's going to be on the cards for track yet, but certainly looking forward to it. And obviously we got Bathurst to get through yet before we fully wrap this season up. So I'm very much looking forward to that and just seeing how good everything's going to be for that.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully, folks, you can all come and join us next Friday night, if not Sunday night. But until then, folks, thanks for joining Daniel and myself. I hope you've enjoyed our coverage, and we hope you have a great weekend. And of course, we hope you enjoy the Le Mans 24 hour. But until then, on behalf of Daniel Leet, I'm Bernie Weemers, and we'd like to wish you all a very good evening.